Okay, let's move on now to our Australia prediction results. Actually, I'll do mine first because yours
Okay.
were better. I ended up, for those of you, we could put a link to the GP predictor down at the bottom. You can join mid-season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you guys may know or may not know, Miko and I are doing this Castrol GP Predictor with Alex Gillen. He's got a league in the Castrol Edge Grand Prix Predictor website, gppredictor.com. And we'll put a link down at the bottom so you guys can join the league as well. We made our predictions for Australia. You guys might have heard the Boxcast before. We made our predictions then, but that was actually prior to seeing practice. So we did end up making some adjustments. I did pretty well. I did accurately predict pole position, as I'm sure a lot of people in the world did.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people expected Lewis Hamilton to get pole, so I did get that part right. So I got 5 points there. Bottas, I chose for positions gained. You and I talked about that right away on Steam once we found out he had a five-place grid penalty. For you and I both. I mean, I was thinking it even before you messaged me, but immediately I was like, okay, Bottas for most positions gained in that Williams with the five-place grid penalty, and that was accurate as well, so another 5 points. Fortunately, I did say that Lewis Hamilton would get fastest lap, and he didn't even complete 2 laps or 3 laps, so I did get that part wrong. I thought Hamilton was looking good for the win, so I chose him to win. Of course, he DNF'd. I chose Rosberg for second, and he won, so I got 5 points there. I had Alonso in third, and he finished fourth, so I got 5 points there. I had Button in fourth, and he finished third, so I got 5 points there. I had Massa in fifth, so obviously he DNF'd. Hulkenberg, I accurately predicted in sixth place, so I got full 10 points there. I thought Vettel was going to be in about seventh or so. I didn't see him beating many Mercedes cars, but I did expect him to be in the points. But of course, he DNF'd, so no points there. Bottas, I thought he was going to be back in like eighth or so. So I got 0 points there. Perez, I predicted ninth. As everyone knows, I really love Perez, but I just couldn't see him beating even Massa or Bottas, really. So I had him in ninth. He got 10th, so I got 5 points there. And then Magnussen, I thought was going to get 10th place.
Yeah, same.
And of course, he got second. So no points there. So in the end, I got 60 points with a prediction accuracy of 35%, giving me a global overall rank of 2,900 out of about a million, 100,000. It's about 100,000 people on the
Yeah.
website. Now you can tell us all about how much better you did.
Yeah, well, I got the pole position, fastest lap positions again. All of they were all right.
Who
So
was fastest lap in the end?
Nico Rosberg.
Oh, okay, okay,
So I got 20 bonus points for that.
nice.
And well, I did change at least two things. Before the race, when we did our first predictions, I did put Nico Rosberg at pole and number one, I think. So I changed those. So at the other hand, I did get the pole position right, but I predicted Lewis Hamilton to win. That
Mhm.
didn't happen, so 0 points for that. Nico Rosberg second for me, 5 points. Then because of Ricardo's disqualification, Button and Alonso both jumped up 2 places, so I got 10 points for both of those.
Wow.
Felipe Massa, of course, not disqualified, DNF.
Mhm.
Same as Vettel, DNF. Uh, Bottas, I got 2 points. He was seventh for me. Kimi, 5 points, and then Ricardo and Magnussen at the bottom,
Zero.
0 points. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
a total of 87 points and prediction accuracy of 41, and that puts me on an overall rank, global rank of 110th. And in all the leagues that I'm in, I don't know if are you in the three leagues?
Yeah, I'm in Alex Gillen, Apex Online, and Racing Humor.
Yeah, I'm on all three of those, and I'm number one at every one of those.
Oh man, you jerk, you jerk. I'm so
Yeah,
jealous.
I think this is not gonna last too much. So
Well, yeah,
I'll better just boast it while I can.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is by far the hardest race of the calendar to predict. We went into this race knowing very little. Very, really good job. I mean, I imagine we'll probably, I mean, right now you're in the top 0.1% of people on the website. I'm in the top 3%. I imagine we can probably keep it around there. We could probably be in the top 5%. I think we're hardcore enough F1 fans that we can
Yeah.
at least beat 19 out of 20 people. So yeah, it's I gotta say it's a lot of fun having your predictions quantified into a points thing and then getting ranked and all of that. It's a lot of fun. So we're gonna put the link to join Alex's league down at the bottom. So if you guys want to join that and compare your predictions against Miko and myself, make sure you do that. It's totally free to join, and I think you actually even like if you do well enough, you get prizes. I think they do prizes for each race.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
there's and then I think there's a big prize thing at the end too. So there's 19 different prize things to win left for this year. So if you guys are interested, make sure you check that out. And then really quickly, just wanted to talk a little bit about Malaysia. We're not going to do our full predictions like we did for the last Box$Cast, only because we're going to end up changing them anyway when we see free practice 1, 2, and 3. So we're not going to go too crazy with it, but I can tell you right off the bat that my top two for Malaysia is going to be the exact same as it was for Australia, with Hamilton on pole and race win and Rosberg behind. I mean, Hamilton's DNF in Australia was pure luck or bad luck, and clearly the Mercedes pace is real. I think Rosberg ended up finishing like 26 seconds ahead of the
Hmm.
next car, and that was after a safety car too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think to expect anybody else to win besides a Mercedes would be insane for Malaysia. Again, we haven't seen FP1, 2, or 3, so we don't know for sure. But just after seeing Mercedes pace in Australia, I think you'd have to be crazy to pick anybody but Lewis or Nico for the win.
Yeah, and something we're hearing that uh, McLaren are bringing their update package to Malaysia.
Aggressive
Yeah,
update package
so
is the
they're
wording they used.
expecting half a second per lap uh,
Yeah,
difference. So they might. Well, we'll
that
have to
would
see
put them
about.
about at Mercedes level.
Yeah, if that's realistic
Right.
gain.
Yep.
So I think what they brought to Melbourne was almost their launch package. So their big updates are coming to Malaysia. So we'll have to have a close look at how good their pace is. But I have to say, uh, in terms of what I saw from the onboards, the Williams doesn't look too good in high-speed corners. Certainly not as
Hmm.
well, not as good as the Red Bull or the Mercedes. They look both really good in the high-speed stuff.
I assume
McLaren too.
you were noticing the Williams in like turns 10 and 11 in Australia. Is that where you were noticing the difference?
Yeah, yeah. So they're having to lift off more. The front is sliding a little bit more,
Mm.
and the Williams has really short gears. They were in eighth gear, even in Australia, which doesn't have very long straights, and Malaysia
No.
does. So we'll have to see
Yeah.
in practice if they start to hit their limiter already.
Yeah,
Malaysia.
because it's a lot of high speed corners. Sector 2 is almost entirely composed of corners that are 100 miles an hour and above, aside from the hairpin at the end of in the towards the end of Sector 2 there.
Yeah.
That's really the only low speed corner in Sector 2. Sector 1 is low speed corners. Sector 3 is kind of a combination actually. So yeah, if you're right about that, if the Williams is struggling a little bit with high speed corners, Malaysia is something where we're gonna see that, especially with the high speed change of directions and the corners are very long as well. I've always thought of the high speed left right that comes in sector two. I've always thought of that as kind of like a elongated version of Silverstone, Maggots Beckett's.
Hmm.
You're going left then right. It's just for longer periods of time. You don't change direction quite as quickly. So yeah, we could see Williams struggle a little bit there. Ferrari, if their software issues, if we can call them software issues, if those little issues that they had in Australia get taken care of, certainly they're going to be podium contenders at the very least. And I mean, they're very dedicated this year. They have the best lineup, arguably, on the entire grid. So I imagine they're going to be pushing extremely hard. Alonso, of course, has won in Malaysia in 2012. He won one of the best races I've ever seen personally from him. It
So
was a
has Kimi.
fantastic race. Yeah, Kimi as well. When he was really young too, right? Wasn't Malaysia one of his first race wins?
His first race win, yeah,
Yep.
in
Yep.
2003.
Yep. So I think Ferrari, if they can get their issues sorted out, they're definitely going to be competitors as well. Force India is a little bit of a question mark. I would kind of maybe put them where Williams is, possibly a little bit lower. So if they struggle in the high-speed downforce type corners that like Williams does, then potentially they could be a little bit farther down. Toro Rosso, who knows? Maybe Toro Rosso will be amazing this race, and Daniil Kvyat will end up winning the race or something like that. The Toro Rosso is apparently going to be bugging the top teams, if nothing else.
Well, I have to
Um,
say Malaysia is with its long straights, it's more of a power track than Melbourne because in Melbourne it's really hard to pass,
yeah,
and Malaysia has those DRS zones. So I think
back to back DRS zones.
yeah, those Renault power teams might struggle a little bit.
Yeah, also Malaysia, it is extremely hot, as everyone knows, but it's not just hot, it's extremely humid there as well,
Hmm.
which I've heard described in Malaysian Grand Prix in the past, described as kind of like a choking feeling, like the engine's not getting enough oxygen to it because of the extra moisture in the air and the higher temperatures. We saw wheel nut issues from the Force India team last year where they had to retire both cars basically because of the Malaysian weather. They were also using new wheel nuts there, but the Malaysian Grand Prix is going to be very different from the Australian Grand Prix, as you described. Very different type of track, not just as far as the layout, but also the what's required of the car is very different as well. I do believe it's also the race on the calendar where the drivers lose the most water weight during a race as well. Lots of sweating and stuff. Also, a high probability for rain. Malaysia is a very wet place, so we might
Yeah,
get our first full wet race there.
I'm actually looking at the qualifying speed trap results from Australia, and the top 10 is all
All Mercedes?
Mercedes and Ferraris, and
Interesting.
11th is Verne, then Gutierrez, Kobayashi, Kvyat, Ericsson, Sutil. It's the top 10. It's from 317, which is Bottas. He's at the top, and then all the way down to Hamilton, who is 10th, 310. So that's the
Interesting.
Mercedes and Ferraris, and then it's all the speed trap kilometers per hour. It's below 310.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, yeah. So if that's the case, teams are going to be bringing updates and sort of thing, so we might see different things happen. But if that's the case in Malaysia, definitely the Mercedes-powered teams are going to once again have a little bit of an edge over them, or even more of an edge. So I'm really looking forward to it, though. Malaysia is my favorite track to race on, anyway. Lots of passing opportunities. Really, really excited for this next race. Um, uh, yeah, how do you feel about Malaysia?
It's a bit of a more of a proper racetrack, so if it doesn't rain, I'm expecting things to settle down a little bit more, but I have to say the heat must be a big big issue for the team. So even the cooling side might be might be a thing to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that is going to do it for this Boxcast. Join us next time where we'll be discussing the results of the Malaysian Grand Prix, and we'll probably talk a little bit about the Bahrain Grand Prix, because that's the third race of the season this year, right?
Yeah, almost said China, but
Yep, I almost said China. I was
Yeah.
real close. So we'll be talking about the Malaysian results and the upcoming Bahrain Grand Prix, and thank you ever so much for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you in a week.